Shameless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. We tell them one time and we say Europa League. Europa.
Yes. Manchester United are in the Europa League final. Still, we will hear that theme song one more time. It's a favourite. It's a cult classic. Yes, it is Manchester United in the Europa League. Manchester United are still in the Europa League. In fact, they're in the Europa League final. 4-1 on the night. 7-1 on aggregate. And, well, what more needs to be said? I mean, the players, criminals, obviously, for 70 odd minutes were shocking. Absolutely awful. But it's for that reason that actually I do have quite a bit of optimism getting it now being in the final because you know what's funny is there might be some that will say after that performance for a large quantity of this game, oh, yeah, but you can't play like that in the final. And the answer is, of course you can. We've done it the whole way through the tournament. We've done it all the way through the tournament. We absolutely could play like that for 70 odd minutes in the final and still win it because that's what they are. They're not great players, not amazing players. We're like 15th, 14th in the Premier League, what have you. But for whatever reason, in Europe this season, they've just been getting it done. The passing from some players, they were awful. It's like absolutely shocking. Ruben Amorim, to his credit, brings on ball players. Brings on Ahmad, brings on obviously Mason Mount, and changes the game with the subs. And then they get Cobby came on too. So I'm thrilled, and it is everything on that game. In the final, winner takes a trophy, winner takes Champions League football. It is El Mudico, whatever you want to call it, a complete mud off, but we'll be there for it. So be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as we get closer to 200k. This is the full-time view, but members can call in and have their say. If you do wish to become a member, you can do so. Links in the video description. It's also pinned in the chat, or you can click the join button. If you are a member and you're looking for the link, go to the United View YouTube page. On the post tab, you'll be able to see it there, only for members, and you can call in and have your say on the match and us getting to the Europa League final. JP with the first super chat says, we are going to Bilbao. Yes, we are again. We've already got the advantage. We've already played in the stadium, mate. We've already played in the stadium once. Positive stuff. Right, let's get straight to the calls. Let's start off with Amador. Amador, we're in the final. We made it for a large portion of the game. It was very nervy, but in the end, 4-1, 7-1 on aggregate. Unbelievable.
Yeah, thanks, Owen, for inviting me. Now I'm really happy with the result. I went to the gym, actually, and I missed the first 30 minutes of the game because I thought we would go through, but when I came back, I started listening to your commentary and watching the game. You were right. I mean, especially Ugarte. There's some Ugarte and Dorgu, those two in particular. It's almost like they never played with each other before. They never played a game of football, and I'm worried about those two players in terms of one game. In certain games, they can lift themselves. In other games, the drop off is so stark. So you fear the worst. But I didn't think we'd lose. I mean, I didn't think we'd not go through the final. But when it was 1-0, it was worrying. But like you said, Owen, I'm happy that we've gone through the final. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely ecstatic, but I can't predict what type of performance we're going to get in the final. What I can say is that I think we've got the experience over Tottenham to go. There might be in that final. Tottenham may be the better team in the final, but we could scumbag a win, and that's what I'm relying upon. I know that's nothing. I know that's anecdotal, but that's the hope I have. And we've won. And remember, Owen, unlike Tottenham, we've been to 4 finals in the last 4 years, I think, right? So we've got that experience. Yeah, 3 years, and Tottenham don't have that experience. So it will be so much justice if we can beat Tottenham in the final because some of the Tottenham fans like expressions and Abby. They need to be taken down a peg or two about United and like they're beating us and they beat us comfortably when we were at Old Trafford. I remember it was a horrendous performance by Bruno. I don't remember when he got sent off. Old Trafford was 3-0. So we have everything in our hands to sort of do justice.
Yeah. Mason Mount gets man of the match. Is that going to be an arriving moment for him? I mean, it's taken long enough, but he comes and he gets the goal when we really need it. That one to make it 1-1 really does change the game. Of course, great last goal. But is that going to be a turning moment for him, do you think?
I hope so. It's a win-win situation for me anyway. Even if it doesn't turn and he still maintains stable performance, come to the end of season, if United want to sell him, we can say, look, he's played well the last couple of games, and that increases value. So yes, I'm happy for Mason Mount winning those 2 goals, but I'm not sure. It's still too early to tell whether it's a turning point for him. But I'm genuinely happy for him because he's our number 7, and he's a Man United player. Talking about Man United players, I know I'm going off piece here, but have you heard about Anthony in the other match? He just seems to be like,
yeah.
So I'm happy for these types of players to do well.
Yeah,
I'm happy for Mason Mount to do well. Happy for Anthony to do well because it's a win situation. If Money Mason does well and he performs like in the final and helps us to win, that's fantastic. If he maintains it, that's fantastic because if we decide to sell him in the summer, we'll get good money for him. But I want him to do well, and I want Casemiro to stay fit because I feel like he's our kingmaker. I know Bruno's our captain, but I genuinely do think Casemiro in the last couple of European games, he's just rising to the occasion, and it's experience. We don't have experience like that in the team, apart from Bruno and Maguire in terms of senior experience. Casemiro is the guy we can look to in our moments of panic because Ugarte again, when he goes missing, I feel like Casemiro is the one who's trying to calm him down. So please don't underestimate how important Casemiro is going to be to us in the final.
Yeah, and just finally, Lenny Yoro, KG mentioned, if had it not been for obviously the Mason Mount and maybe Ahmad when he came on, he would have been in that conversation for man of the match. Is he just getting better and better? Are you confident that we have signed? Obviously there was a lot of hype around him and maybe a bit of a slow start, but it feels like in this underperforming team, he's standing out still.
He surprised me in terms of what surprised me the most is mental strength of Lenny Yoro. I don't think people talk about that. He's such a young person, but he feels like he's got that confidence to run with the ball and deal with adversity for such a young player. Remember that incident a couple of games ago whereby I think one of the United players got picked upon in the penalty area and he stood up for that player. That's when I and that's when I saw the real side of Lenny Yoro. He can stand his ground, and like credit to him. And I'll be honest with you, if Leach comes back next season, I don't think Leach is a starter for us. I think Lenny Yoro's literally displaced him. So credit to Lenny Yoro.
Yeah, absolutely. Credit to Lenny Yoro indeed. Big up, Amanor. Appreciate you calling in as always. If you haven't already, click the like button. Where we're at in terms of the likes, we've got nearly 600 people watching. 10 likes away from 100. So if you haven't already, click that like button. What are people saying here in the chat at the moment? Dwayne says Mount, Ahmad and Cobby have to push Garnacho to the bench. Yeah, talk about Garnacho again. Missed a big chance, and I know Ruben likes playing him as an outlet, but might have options now, particularly with Ahmad being back. Starlord says if Mount stays fit, he will be a pivotal player. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Chalaboy Comics. Chalaboy Comics. We're in a final. We're going back to Bilbao. What are your thoughts on it all?
Good to see you, Owen. Just for the reference, if you hear some background noise, apologies for that. But yes, I'm ecstatic because in a season that has been very, very poor, to have this chance at glory, to have this chance at silverware, to have this chance to sort of like accelerate our development as a team, as a club, I'm beyond thrilled. We deserve it because of how well we've played in Europe. And I think a lot of the players or some of the players deserve it for what their consistency of performance has been over the course of a season. I'm looking at Lenny Yoro in particular. When he came in, I was trying to tell people, I don't know why there's this myth that we had a bad transfer window when it comes to incomings. I think the players that we brought are high potential players. You have Xerxes, you have Lenny Yoro, and Ugarte were my main ones that I was very comfortable with. Delit a little bit still unsure. I think he has some issues in his game, but again, just a good sign-in. And I'm just so happy for Lenny Yoro, happy for the team. I said it last week, we are quantum united, right? Half of this game, we were completely, I was almost having a heart attack. I'm like, surely we can't throw this away. And then just like that, bang, 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 we score some amazing goals. Mason Mount, Casemiro, my guy Casemiro. I love Casemiro. I recently, I think it was 3 days ago, I ordered a Casemiro jersey, a Euro jersey, and a Manu jersey. They all come in the mail in the next 3 to 5 days. So, I'm just so thrilled that, he was able to show once again that he still has quality and he's still able to, command the midfield, when the team is structured around him. And I said it also last week, I think we should do something similar we're doing with Casemiro, with Manu in the long run. It's have him play in that midfield and then structure the team around him because, he's a quality player. And then finally, Amad Diallo, it's this guy's special, and I'm so thankful to have him in our team. We have a final coming up, and hopefully we can beat Spurs, because this was a very, very strong showing towards the end, and sort of like a cherry on top to a very terrible dessert that we've had this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you think now that Amad's back, do you think he is going to displace Garnacho? Of course, looks like Garnacho's kind of won over Amorim in recent weeks, but missed a big chance again this evening, Garnacho, and then Amad comes on, and in those moments where maybe Garnacho can't pull the trigger or can't make the right decision, Amad does and gets a goal for Rasmus Højlund in the process. Do you think it could be a case of Garnacho coming out and Amad coming in, particularly for the final?
That's a tough question to answer, because it really depends on what we want to do and how we're profiling Dorgu. Because I see a situation where we can have both Garnacho and Amad start. If Amad is on the right wing back, and then Garnacho is in one of the 10s, and then Dorgu's off the bench. But if we're playing Dorgu, then maybe you drop Mezraoui for Amad. Like, I think there's a potential to see both of them in. Like as I sort of like mentioned with Euro about how good of a player is when people were doubting, I still feel similar when it comes to Garnacho. And I want us to at least give him time to get stronger, because I think when he gets stronger, he'll have more time on the ball to make better decisions. But if we're talking about the immediate, I still think there's value in having him. I guess it depends. I said it when Ruben first came in, that this is a psychological experiment, right? And he's going to be judged on how he can shape the mental of our players. It really depends on Garnacho's attitude, because are we going to lose the player mentally if we drop him for the final and have him come on the bench, or will he take that opportunity to have an impact if we take him off the bench? Or we can still start him and have like really, really good players coming off the bench in terms of, impact. So I would want Amad to start regardless. Now, whether or not it's Garnacho who's starting, or Mount who's starting, or whether it's Bruno in the 10, and we have enough players where there could be a variation. It's just about what Ruben thinks he's going to get from Garnacho's mentality if he's to drop him. Like, because you don't want to lose the player, because he's got us here. The formula is kind of working. You play him, he gets a lot of chances. Because if he scores one of the 2 chances early in this game, it's goodbye, good night, tie over, right? So we just have to trust that he's able to do that in the final. If he does start. But I don't mind who starts, as long as you have Amad on the pitch. And then we also have Bruno Fernandes playing a little bit better, because I think his performance today was a little bit erratic in the choices of passes he was choosing to make, almost against the flow of the build-up momentum. So he just needs to fix that. And finally, I just wanted to also mention what's sort of making me nervous against Spurs, because like we should beat them because we're Man United. But at the same time, our goalkeeping situation is very tough. The goal that we conceded today, you could blame Onana for, I think he could have done better. You could blame Maguire. But I think the fundamental cause of that issue was that Maguire looked up, saw Onana, and was like, I don't know if I should pass the ball to him. So it played a doubt in his mind and caused the whole chain reaction. So I feel like we do have a weakness in Onana, or at least our goalkeeping situation. But I think we have more than enough match winners to play the final. So I don't know. I'm really thrilled with getting there, and hopefully we can do something special.
Hopefully, indeed. Big up, Chatterboy Comics. Appreciate you calling in. As always, regular contributor to this show. Joe Blackman, he says right there, over 600 in here now. Let's push for 200 likes. I'll tell you what, Joe Blackman, obviously one of the leaders, coordinators of KG's Reckless Sport. He'll be live later on. I did see in their title it said Real Bilbao, which did tickle me. I don't know if that's a different team, But Athletic Bilbao, certainly, we played this evening, a knockdown of the Europa League, yeah? And we're going back to Bilbao for the final against Spurs. Terrific. Skiliana here says, Ahmad and Mount in the 10s, Bruno false 9. I think, well, Højlund got a goal. It's just unbelievable. Where should we go to next? Let's go to JJ. JJ, we're in the final. We made it. I saw you in the chat was getting a little bit nervy like me for like 65 minutes, but we got there. God. How you feeling?
You know, there's one thing you can never underestimate the team. They can take us through the emotions. They cannot cease to surprise, you know. And I sometimes I feel like they meet before the game. They be like, okay, how can we torture our friends today? I think, you know, let's consider goal. Let's leave it late, and then let's score 3 goals or even 4, right? And honestly, that's the way it felt. You know, coming out of the first leg, any team coming out with 3-goal lead, you know, the United of the Holds, you know that. You know the legs, the tie is over, but we can't say that we're where we are right now in terms of our defensive fragility, the way that we can't withstand the press, you know, and the way that we don't even put away our chances. But you know, thank God, long story short, we were able to make it out, and you know, it's just about, okay, how do we now beat Spurs, you know, in the final.
How you feel about the Spurs one? Because I kind of mentioned it in the start there. Is it almost like, because of how we've played tonight and how we've played in these games in Europe this season, that even if we do play bad in that final, now we're of the mindset of, well, we've been playing bad for a while and somehow winning these games in Europe. So we should be winning it? Or you still you gotta have that nerves, you gotta have that pressure again?
Because here's what I was gonna tell you, right? I was gonna say, what if we are 2 goals down? But then we can say, you know what, we were 2 goal downs against Lyon. We came back at it. But think about the last 2 times, not the last time, because the last time I think we only lost 1-0 to Spurs, right? If we are 3 goals down, I don't see us coming back. You understand? So it's all about how many goals are we down, though. But if I'm honestly looking at the problems that we've had, if we don't handle the press properly against Spurs, we're going to lose, because that's the thing. You know, they're going to play high line. You understand? And for those who've been saying that they should drop Garnacho, if they are going to play out now, you need Garnacho in the 10, the left 10, hopefully. You need Ahmad, you know, in the right wing back, because those are the 2 fastest players that we probably have that can stretch the field. We know even though Garnacho is playing the left stand, he's going to roam to left wing. You understand? So we're going to need that speed. And I'm going to say one thing about Garnacho real quick. I do think that Amorim needs to sit him down. There's a ruthlessness you need to have as a player. You were true on goal. The pass was perfectly weighted. You don't, especially when we need to kill the goal off, this is when, you know, they say keep it simple, stupid. You understand? That first chance is one of those chances. Just keep it simple. Now, if we're up 2 goals, you know, you can now, you know, do the tricks, do the backflips, do the dings, you know, do the chips and everything like that. But as a young player, and I get it, you know, you're young, but you can only be so young for so long. Especially in this game, when there will be somebody right behind you, when they can say, you know what, let's sell him, let's use him to. I mean, I don't know how old Ryan Čerkić is from Lyon. I don't know how old he is, right? But I think he's like 22, right?
21, 22, yeah.
22. If he has that same opportunity, are you not betting that he's going to score the ball? You understand? Yeah. And I do think that's what Garnacho's got to keep in mind, that, hey, you can only be so young forever. And also, real quick, God bless Casemiro, man. I remember the last time you and I spoke, I issued an apology. I need to send an extra apology again to him, because when they were planning for that free kick, and I wish I could document my thoughts. I remember that Maguire went over to Bruno, and something was telling me that he was doing only that to be a dummy, because, you know, you went over to Bruno. When it came back to the line, everybody's thinking, okay, the boy's going to come over the top to Maguire. I was like, nah, that boy is going near post. And to have someone that on set pieces you can rely on, right, to convert the ball, that's good. One last thing, missing mounds. Wow. I think he needs to go later on. My fear is that I don't want her to get, when a player has quality, just like the way Luke Shaw had quality, but couldn't stay fit. And then they give you a moment of brilliance. And then they turn around, they say, okay, give me a new contract. Because what he did today, if I'm picking my starting 11 in the final for Spurs, I'm going to drop Bruno to stay beside Casemiro. I'm going to put Garnacho in the left 10. I'm going to put Mason Mount in the right 10. And I'm going to put Ahmed in that wing. But he needs to stay fit. He needs to stay fit. His quality shown when it came on. The ball was sticking better, right? Even you could see the workings between Ahmed and Dogu, even on that right wing. It's like they were on the same wavelength. So I hope Mason stay fit. I can't wait. I will be so over the moon if we win against Spurs, because then we can look at all the haters and tell them, hey, even though we know we're not doing good, but that is 3 trophies in 3 seasons, man.
3 trophies, 3 seasons in the Champions League as well. I'm not even letting my mind go there as much. I'm trying not to. Big up, JJ. We got nearly 600 people watching at the moment. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe too. Where are we going to go to next? Oh, good grief. Here we go. The Manchukushner.
The time is now, Owen. El tiempo es ahora. It is time for Bilbao.
It is time for Bilbao. It is time for trophies. It is time for the Europa League final. Is it time to be in the Champions League next season?
It must be. It must be. Now, I wanted to come here and tell you something, Owen.
Yes.
This is a great stat. So, out of all the big 6, 5 teams have reached the final or won a trophy, except for 1. Arsenal.
Wow. It's just very interesting, isn't it? European heritage they don't really do that, And I saw Mikel Arteta saying yesterday, well, they were the best team in the competition. Didn't get to the final. I saw a good quote today as well. It said, winners celebrate, losers explain. A lot of explaining that Arsenal have been doing. A lot of explaining. Talk to me about Mason Mount. Has Mason Mount is this his moment? Is this the beginning of his redemption arc at Manchester United? Do you think?
Listen. I was actually at a work meeting. I had to go back and watch the game afterwards, so I didn't get to see it live. But it was the one thing I guess I noticed, knowing that the goals were coming, you kind of can analyze the game in a little bit of a different way. But I realized that Luke Shaw and Mason Mount had a really good chemistry together, right? All those years of playing in England together, all of that time, right? So I feel like that was really not just the fact that we have, Mason Mount coming back, and please just stay injury free. Same with Luke Shaw. I guess for this coming game, play the kids under 18s. I don't care. Just you could even play the kitman. I don't care. Whoever it is, just
the goalkeeping coach instead of Rashford. Him.
Yeah, just whoever you could play. You could play Owen.
Yeah. Probably not. Probably. I just feel like Manchukushner.
You want me to email the club?
Why not? Why not?
For you.
Yeah, why not? Manchukushner. What? The Manchukushner is going to be my agent to play for Manchester United.
Yeah. I got a response last time I emailed the club. Yeah, Julie.
What did you email them about?
I emailed them my scouting suggestions. Yeah.
And well, who did you suggest?
I just some Mexicans. I mean, it's what I do.
Well, I just kind of, No, I was just about to say, what's always funny with the Manchukushner is, he came in and he clearly came in with he wanted to say the Arsenal stat. I thought I'd get more out of him. I thought I'll ask him a follow-up question. And he got serious. And I thought, this is serious analysis for the Manchukushner. And then he just I've been sort of pitching a lot of Mexicans. And I get it, I often see him in the chat doing the same thing. It's just, it's the Manchukushner. That's what he does. But it's fine. It's to be fair, it's one of his less egregious appearances on this show. He said some other pretty crazy shit during the time, so it's fine. It's fine. Let's go to another call. Let's go to show. Show, we're in the Europa League final. What did you make of it all? Criminality everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, I was never nervous tonight of not making the final. I'll be honest. Like, I mean, the performance was trash for a lot of it, but I kind of expected a trash performance. But we had a 3-goal, cushion, so I was like, I wouldn't even been surprised if we finished the game losing 1-0 today. But I would have still been like, yeah, trash performance, but we're in the final. So the fact that we won 4-1, yeah, I'll take that all day long. And actually, it's funny because we've now scored 10 goals in our last 3 games, which is kind of gone quietly unnoticed, given that it takes normally about 4 months for us to score 10 goals usually. So the fact that we've done it in a week is, we're starting to score goals at the right time. And only 2 of those 10 have been scored by Bruno. So it's nice that we're not relying on Bruno for the goals and also not assists either. So, and Mount getting 3 and 2, it's perfect timing. I mean, look, my lineup for the final, I'm starting Mount. I'm not a big fan of Mount, but while he's in form, why not start him, right? I'd start Shaw over Dorgu in the final. I'm just like Dorgu again tonight. The weird thing is he's better on the right, to be honest. But I mean, for me, I'm starting Ahmad and Shaw as the wing-backs in the final. I'd start Garnacho and Mount in the 10s because I think with Spurs, the transition's quite important because they're going to play that ridiculous high line, right?
Yeah.
And if we have Ahmad and Garnacho on the right side, there's a lot of pace we can exploit that high line with. And you got Luke Shaw and Mount on the left, which was quite good today when it came on.
Yeah. And you need decision making, didn't you? That's the difference with Dorgu. It's a bit like the Garnacho thing. It's just decision making. It's final pass. It's final ball. I mean, he did a good pass through to Garnacho for the chance that he missed, but that cross, we just go, well, it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near.
That's the thing. And look, I'm not a fan of Shaw. I actually I've wanted Shaw gone for 5-6 years. But in terms of a comparison to Dorgu, there's no comparison for me. At a technical level, he's a far better player. And
for a one-off game too,
Yeah, for a one-off game, I'm starting Shaw in the final. And he has experience of actually playing in a Europa League final as well. He's one of the few players in that squad that's actually played in the last Europa League final. So listen, I would also start. I think Bruno has to start alongside Casemiro. I really hope after tonight, Amorim finally sees that. I mean, look, again, I've been on the Ugarte thing since day one. Like, I just don't think he's a good enough player for United. And today, his progressive passing his passing in general was just bloody hell. Oh my god. And I was actually, it's funny. Like, I don't know how much people use this website FBref, but I don't use it that much. But I was just looking at Ugarte's stats, and like, if you look at his tackling stats, it's through the roof. Like, he's in the top 10 percentile in the world.
Yeah.
But then you look at his progressive passing, and he's in the bottom 10 percentile in the world. So it just shows you that he's a tackling monster. But in terms of progressing passing from midfield, he's just not it. And I just think Casemiro and Bruno as a pair, I just think there's a much more balance there. That's what I would start, and I'd start Mazraoui, Maguire, and Euro as my back three. So I think the team's there for the final. We might even have Heaven back to put on the bench so that, God forbid, we don't have to put Lindelof on ever again. So yeah, I mean, look, and we're in the final. We're playing Spurs. I wanted Spurs. I said that to you before. I wanted Spurs because we can't be the only team that hasn't beaten Ange. It's embarrassing. I said that before, and we played Ange 5 times and we haven't beaten him. I'm sorry, like, this season, 19 teams. Well, I don't know about 19 teams. They've lost 19 times. Not one of them is against us. They lost probably about 25 times in all comps, I think. Again, not one of them is against us. Again, like, and this is what I might end with, or if it's going to be the end. Look, I don't want to do an Amorim out because you know what? I'm not Amorim in and out. However, if Amorim loses to Spurs in the final, right? Or if any United manager loses to Spurs in the final, you sack him in the tunnel.
I knew he was going there. I knew he was going there. I mean, it is just set up, isn't it? Like it would be peak Spurs to, they beat us 3 times this season, but when it really matters, when a trophy's on the line, we win. It would be peak us. And as we've seen tonight, and we've seen in these recent Europa League games, we could and maybe will literally stink it up for like the majority of the game. But I do have this kind of weird, comfortable. I say comfortable. There'll be nerves in that, but I do have this kind of weird, like, we're gonna go there. We're gonna win it. Why? Because that's what they'll do. They'll play shit and they'll win. That's because that's what they've been doing in this European competition. Even in the first leg, we won the first leg, but like portions of that game, we weren't amazing. Like, I remember the first sort of 10, 15 minutes going, they're a bit on top here, and against Leon, played well for 20 minutes here and there, So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling optimistic. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Eminem. We're in the final. What did you make of it all?
Right now, I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy we actually got there in the end. But that was an atrocious 62 minutes. And you know what? I've said it before and I'll say it again, chemistry. That's what made that game. After 62 minutes, that's what won us the game and got us to that final safely. You can see that Ahmad, Mount, Bruno, Xerxes, all these players, they just know how to connect. And I know Rasmus got his goal, but most of the game he was pretty crap. And Ahmad I'm just in awe of Ahmad, man. That guy is just he's not scared to take on any the defender. And then even if he loses the ball, he's got the strength and the core to actually just win it back instantly. And I'm just so happy we're in the final. And I'm actually really, really happy with Amarim subs. I think he did a really good job today. Even though the setting up team was pretty poor.
Yeah, it changed the game. I mean, when it comes to Mason Mount, Sho was saying it there. Do you now think he sort of got his place in there for the final? Do you think Amarim will go cautious, or do you think he'll go with Ugarte, Casemiro again because that's what he's done, or does he go with Mason Mount and go, actually let's take the game to him?
Well, I'll have to be clear. We can't have Ugarte. No. I mean, everybody was praising Ugarte over the weekend for getting few assists, saying that was his best game. But that's getting assists when going forward. But he's a DM. The whole point of the DM is obviously to win the ball and help us control the game. And we got more control when he got off. In terms of Mount, I think he did brilliant today. And I know people were complaining that obviously he had these subs, he had these 20-minute cameos where he wasn't really doing anything. But he's been out for so long, it's going to take more than a few games to actually get it running. And I think today's game was actually the moment where he's actually arrived for United, if you get what I'm saying. And hopefully he is going to kick on now. And I wouldn't mind if obviously Garnacho started it over Mount, but I would like Bruno to go deeper with Casemiro, and obviously Casemiro deeper. I think he can dictate that game, even though it's Spurs, obviously a Premier League team. It's going to be physical. He still has that ability to do it, especially in Europe, because he's a different monster when it comes to Europe.
Yeah, and when it comes to Ahmad, he's got to start that final. Where does he start? Does he start in the 10, like where he came on today? Is he going to start a right wing back? What do you think Amarim will do?
That's actually a good question. I think he might start in the 10, and we might get Dorgu, because when Dorgu moved to the other side on the right wing back side, he connected very well with Ahmad, and it looks like they just knew who's going to run forward, who's going to run inside. So that might just be the plan. I think Amarim's going to be planning. I know we've lost 3 times to Spurs this season, right?
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah.
The last game was a close 4-3. It was after Ahmad got subbed in. It became 4-3. I think Amarim's going to dominate the final, in my opinion. I know I might be speaking very early, but I think he just knows he will know how to break down a Spurs team. And I think whatever Ahmad starts inside 10 or right wing back, whatever position he starts, we're going to get quality no matter what. That's the main thing. But I don't mind if Garnacho starts in that inside 10 position as well, because it's going to be a counter-attacking game for us quite a bit, especially against Spurs.
I hope so, indeed, and I hope we get the win. Big up, Eminem. Appreciate you calling in. Appreciate everyone that's called in this evening. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Reminder, fan views, player ratings, if they're not out, they will be coming out shortly. We'll be live again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., discussing us in the Europa League final against Tottenham Hotspur. KG should be live shortly if he isn't already over at Reckless Sport. She'll be redirected there to call in. I think it's a 5 things deep. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And one more, I tell you what, I should probably end. I mean, I'll probably get in trouble because usually you should end on the end card and all that kind of stuff. But I think we've got to finish on the Europa League theme. We have to. We have to. How can we not? Big up. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Peace.
Rewind. Shameless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. Let me tell them one time. I'm going to say Europa League. Europa.